Welcome friends in Sunday's Read, part 26, series where I'm sharing with you fragments from summaries of books that I found interesting and inspiring. And today's fragments are coming from the book Essentialism by Greg McKeown. So let's go. Withdrawing from failures and setting boundaries will stop you from doing unnecessary things. Have you ever done something you were sure was a waste of energy and time just because you committed to it? Many people fall into sunk cost bias, the tendency to keep investing money, time, and energy into something we already know is not likely to succeed. Unluckily, every small investment makes it more difficult to let go while concurrently increasing the amount we are sure to lose. To exemplify this sunk cost bias, consider the dramatic failure of the Concorde jet. Although it was an extraordinary engineering achievement, the cost made it worthless and doomed to commercial failure. Despite the glaring facts, the British and French governments fell into a sunk cost bias and continued funding it for 40 years, fully aware that they would never get most of their money back. Only when we admit we have made a mistake in committing to something can we make a mistake a part of our past. You can easily avoid this trap by developing the courage to admit your flaws and mistakes and let them go. Besides, you can avoid this whole situation by setting clear boundaries. While non-essentialists think boundaries are unnecessary constraints, they are liberating on a fundamental level. For instance, imagine a schoolyard on a busy street. At this school, children are not allowed to play in a small are only allowed to play in a small part of the yard next to the school building, and the teachers have to watch them to ensure they stay within the boundary. But what if a fence clearly defined where the children could safely be? Then the teachers could do something better with their time, since they wouldn't have to be so concerned about children being near traffic, and the kids could play freely and safely. Boundaries exist to make your life easier and more enjoyable, not to constrain you. For instance, you could set clear boundaries between work and family. If your children aren't allowed in the office, then work shouldn't be allowed in your home. If it's evident that something isn't going to work out, do not hesitate to cut your losses and abandon ship. The best way to maintain the essentialist is by preparing carefully and eliminating what slows you down. Once you've started following the principles of essentialists, it's time to commit to the last step, execution. Becoming an essentialist requires that you not only identify what's slowing you down and find way to work around, but also to eliminate it. For instance, imagine you are a Boy Scout leader who must get your troop to camp before sunset. To keep things fair, each scout carries equal provision in their backpack. But there is a problem. Some scouts are much faster than others, so the group spreads out and the kids in the back risk getting left behind. Your first, non-essential solution is to make stops now and then so that the slower ones can catch up. Next, you try moving the kids from the back to the front so everyone stays together, but this slows down everyone. Finally, you see the essentialist solution. Take away some of the provision in the slower kids' backpacks and put them in the faster kids' backpacks. You've eliminated the problem by thinking with the principles of essentialism. The essentialist produces more by removing more, not by doing more. You can prevent unnecessary hindrances by being prepared. One of our biggest mistakes is assuming that our plans will go as expected. However, an essentialist does not think this way. Instead, they make the proper preparations assuming that things might go wrong. Always be prepared for many potential scenarios and be ready to deal with the outcomes, but be careful not to delve into complete pessimism. Recognize that your plans cannot always go as expected, but remember that you can fix the outcomes you don't like. Whatever you do, whatever is delivering up, whether whatever you do, whether it's delivering a presentation at work or taking your kids to school, always give yourself a buffer of 50% of the time you assume it will take. This way, you can always leave room to fix anything slowing you down. Conclusion. My earbud ends. We are so swamped with tasks and responsibilities that we find it difficult to set our priorities straight. Identifying which of the tasks on our to-do list are the most important to us is downright tedious. Even if we go through the list of tasks and pick the ones we should prioritize, we still have to we still have too much on our hands. These excessive activities massively hinder our productivity. Fortunately, adopting essentialism can help us pinpoint what is most important to us and set our priorities straight, regardless of how it may seem. Only a few things are essential to our goals and well being, and everything else is unimportant. Concentrating on these few vital things and learning to do better by doing less can create a far more productive and fulfilling life. So stop thinking that you need to accomplish everything and choose specific directions in which you can excel. Focus on particular area and make giant strides in the things that matter most to you, rather than stretching yourself thin by trying to make little progress in many areas. Finally, make it a habit always to question yourself and update your plans. The process of determining what's essential and what's trivial is continuous. You can't just nod to the principle of essentialism now and then. You have to practice it regularly in a disciplined manner. When you start seeing essentialism as a way of life, it becomes the essence of who you are. Try this. Instead of constantly adding more and more duties and material possessions to your life, try to find ways to cut things out. Start with the place where you live. Decide on the things that are not essential. If you don't need them, throw them out. And that will be it for today. Next, well, that was quite long. Next Sunday we will be reading another summary from another book. And from this place, I wish you many blessings.